salesperson depends upon three pillars. One is the sales process, what he adopts. Two is the selling skills, what he has got. Three, the selling tools, what he uses. Okay. All the three are playing a major role in the success of a salesperson. Okay. And sales process is basically we talk about, the preparation, customer understanding, competition understanding, etc. All these things you are aware, so I don't need to keep repeating again and again actually. Okay. Selling tools are something which is are used as a tools to convince the customer in terms of your product superiority, etc., etc. Selling skills is basically the skill of the salesperson in terms of your communication, questioning, listening, personality, relationship, all other softer aspects of the sales activity. That's a selling skills actually. All the three are essentially important for getting a success from a sales call. The selling skills we have been covering the last couple of weeks about the communication styles, and then we talked about questioning, listening, and then last week we talked about the personality traits as well as the dress sense and things like that. Okay. Today we are taking a topic which is a very, very hot and very important topic: the emotional quotient of a salesperson in the sales activity. How important the emotional quotient? That's what the point of discussion today. Before I move on further, I would like to ask a question to some of the people in the audience. What do you understand, first of all, what is emotional quotient or what is emotional maturity, whatever you call, whichever name you call it actually. I don't want to use jargons like quotient and all. And then how important it is for a salesperson. Can anybody just throw a light? Because a small group, you can always unmute your audio and tell me. Please go ahead. Why a salesperson need emotionally stable or emotional maturity or emotional requirement in the sales successes? Anybody?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Romesh. Can I try a little bit?
Go ahead, Basu.
Yeah, basically, emotional quotient is sometimes during the during the very becomes a detailed negotiation with the customer. Something one has to be emotionally stable. Customer will something try to emotionally let you down or something like that. Emotionally press the supplier, but at the other front, he has to be stable mentally as well as emotionally, so that something any undue advantage should not be passed on. At the same time, he should be upfront, or he should be quite confirm, or quite, I mean he should be quite firm regarding his stand actually.
Well said, very well said. Actually, it's a very important point you have covered. Anybody else?
Particularly, the emotional aspect is very important. For example, if a salesperson approaches a customer and with all vigor and energy, he thinks that he will get the order. Probably the customer may not be satisfied. He may not give the order at the first time. Probably you may be interested to make him come and 10 times probably to get convinced. So at this stage, the emotional part plays very well. He has to be very patient. He has to hold his patience very well. He should not get emotionally upset, and he should not create a bad impression about a customer. Should I hope that he will definitely get the order and he should follow it? That is what more important, because if you fumble, not only you lose the customer, you lose the order, and you will also get a bad name. That is what my view. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very well said. Now the question asked, pertinent question asked is that, sir, if I am emotionally stable, should I go to the customer without much of these things, whatever you're talking about, preparation, etc., all these tools, so many things, okay. So I am an emotionally stable person. I can go and handle the customer and then manage the customer somehow and get the job done, okay. So I don't need to get prepared. I mean, this what some statements come from some people. Do you accept it? Anybody accept this?
No, sir.
Emotional stability is important. Why should I do all the preparations, etc., initially? Yeah, Basu.
Yeah, basically, as you said rightly, that emotionally is stable is required. I mean, this preparation and all these things, it is mandatory. Even after well preparation and once meeting with the customers, Before that, well preparation is mandatory, and having well prepared, then after also one he or she has to be emotionally stable. I mean.
Exactly. Exactly. Very important. Very important. Anybody else? Before I move on, I'll not want to hold you for long.
At times, all the preparations and things which you have made may not work depending on certain situations and the circumstances at the customer
Absolutely.
level. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that is
Absolutely.
why you should not fumble. That is what most important. He said, "This is another
Absolutely.
experience you are getting, and you have to go on." That's what my view.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, irrespective of whether you are emotionally stable or not, you have to prepare. Okay. Irrespective of whether you are prepared or not, you have to be emotionally stable. Both are important and goes hand in hand. That's very clear, actually. Okay. Now, let me jump into the presentation. Just to run through this Vishwaguru is about selling skills platform. Our vision is to make every potential person successful in ethical way, and our mission is to train every salesperson to augment his skills so that he is respected, valued, and accepted. What we do is that we do this weekly webinar, and we do this classroom training also. We also conduct online training sometimes, and we also undertake this sales coaching. Okay, this we are all aware. I don't need to repeat again. Okay. Now getting into the subject, today's subject, teacher. Now, see this picture. The picture, for example, all the three pictures are having car and people are driving the car. Okay. One picture, it is basically a chaos, for example, some of the Indian road, maybe in Bombay. And the other picture is more like Western countries where there is a traffic jam, but it is going in a very orderly manner. Third picture is basically a car race. Okay, all the three are drivers who knows to drive a car. Without knowing driving a car, you can't drive in any of these cases. Okay, but then what plays a major role is the emotional maturity or emotional preparedness of you to handle a different situation. For example, a race car driver possibly cannot drive an Indian road, let's say. Okay, or even if the driver who drives very well in the Western countries, for example, he cannot drive properly in our country. Reason is that the reality is that the country's situation is like that. So what I mean to say is that there is something called skill, there is something called emotion. Okay, one need to develop his skill very well, very important, and so that his emotional part is being taken care of automatically. What I mean to say is that while on the road you are driving the car, your skill of driving is not playing a major role. Your emotional maturity or emotional stability plays a major role. For example, when you're so angry, when you're on the wheels, actually, imagine the way in which you will rashly and rudely drive the car, let's say. Okay. When you are compared to the play time when you are balanced, actually. So what I mean to say is that one should have the skill of anything, in this case, car driving. Okay. But what is driving you, what is taking you along is not that skill. It is more than that skill. It is the emotional part of you which is taking you along. Okay, safely, let's say. So I hope this makes sense. Do anybody have got anything on this? I am making it saying that skill is important for anything, including driving. But what is taking you along a long time is your emotion, not the skill. Not only the skill, actually, at least can say that.
Yeah, absolutely clear, sir. Absolutely clear.
Yeah, so that's very important. Okay. When we talk about I just what I'm trying to do here is that what are the customer normal objections? Okay, and then of course these objections are put into 5 different buckets. Okay, and then you can handle this objection in 2 ways actually. Let me just get back to it now. So the customer, why they object? They're still not ready to buy. They could understand your need carefully, want to buy but not clear whether it is worthwhile buying from you. Maybe you are not the right person. He is not the right person to decide, and is not strong in decision making, and want to buy but not sure whether the price is right. Want to buy but not sure whether this. There are many reasons customer can object to buy from you. Why I'm saying that, because a salesman will always say, If you ask a salesperson why you're not getting the order, you will say, sir, I've done everything, sir. I've showed everything to him, but he somehow is not placing the order. Somehow is not, he's telling me, I'm not able to give the order to you. He will give all these reasons actually. Okay. Then why they make these kind of objections? Because the price is too high. It may be working elsewhere, but not in my factory. Competition is offering the same at better price. Want to buy? There are many reasons. Huge number of list of reasons customer can object buying or object giving order to you. Correct? But now this objection can be put into two major divisions. One is rational, one is emotional. Okay. The customer can object on rational basis or on emotional basis. Okay. If a successful salesperson should be able to differentiate between whether is rationally objecting or emotionally objecting. Okay. What is rational? What is emotional? Rational basically means actually with facts and figures, with data. Okay. Emotional is more of his own feeling, happy, unhappy, egoistic, or empathetic. There are many ways emotional can be explained. Okay. So your customer either can object on rational reasons or emotional reasons. Very first time, the salesperson should understand these differentiation. That's very important before he move on to manage the customer's objection. Generally, a salesperson, if you look at closely, major time of a salesperson is spent with the customer in handling the customer objection. The objection, what I have listed down two slides previously. In handling objections is the place where your emotion plays a major role. Okay. While handling objections, okay, you should be also clear about whether customer is making objection rationally or emotionally. Okay. Here, rational is objection based on facts and figures, emotion based on feelings. Okay. Let's get into and see how, before that, what is emotional quotient or intelligence? There are some definitions. Okay. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your emotions and know why are you feeling like that. It's also understand that the emotions of the customer is in the right perspective. Understand the customer's emotion in the right perspective. What happens is the customer may have a different emotion, but if you understand wrongly, example, then it's a waste. You have to understand in the right perspective. It is also the skill to identify the trigger and the impact, and then adjust your emotional response to the trigger to get the best outcome. It is identify the trigger. See, for example, the customer is emotionally can be triggered. What triggers the customer emotionally? If you understand that, okay, then adjust your emotional response to that. Then you can handle the customer easily. So forget about all these jargons actually. Let's get into nitty-gritties and then discuss. We will understand better. Now, how to understand the objections? Now here, first objection is price is too high, which is very common. I would even say 90% of all the objections comes out of this. Price is too high. Your price is high. I cannot buy from you. Okay. It's a simple statement. Here, what happens is that customer can either rationally make this objection or emotionally make this objection. How to differentiate? You can differentiate this way. For example, when the customer price is too high, what you do first of all? If it is at the beginning of the meeting, the customer is not willing to buy, he is not ready to even to buy, he is not ready to buy actually. You have to wait for right time. Okay. Or at the end of the meeting, he has not understood the values, explain further and charm. These are common, normal reactions to the objection of price is too high. Now let's understand the emotional and rational part of this particular objection. Okay. What is rational part? Rational part can be the cost. It will have an impact in his cost. Okay, it will have an impact in his, because he's already buying at a particular price, and then your price is genuinely higher than what he is buying actually. Okay, or he must have really heard somewhere that no, because your price is high, so he cannot buy. Okay, there can be many reasons in terms of the actual number, black and white number. Okay. There is another set of reason is there, which is emotional, means you have given a better price to my competitor. Okay. Last time you gave me a particular business, I gave you an order for a particular point. Okay. You told me it will be competitive, but then you gave me a higher price. So I don't believe you. My trust on you has gone down, so I don't want to believe that. So I simply say your price is too high. Okay. Third, somehow he is not gelling with you, or you are not able to gel with him. Okay. He doesn't like to buy from you. He's just trying to push you out, saying that your price is too high. Okay. Or fourth, that day he is not in a mood to decide something. He is not in a mood to change anything. Okay. He simply say your price is too high. Right? So there are many emotional reasons on which a customer can object, saying that your price is too high. Okay. If you really understand those emotional part of the customer, then your response will be meaningful and useful. For example, the customer is not in a mood to buy that day. Okay, if you're going to put all sorts of effort to convince him, say that the price is not too high, what is the use? Even if it is cheap, he is not going to buy because he's not in the mood to buy that day. Actually, two, if he's already kind of affected by any reason, you or your company, or something has happened in your company, whatever. Actually, okay, but you have to allay that fear. You have to make him happy, make him comfortable before even pitching again. Okay. Instead of you keep on pushing, saying that your price is too high, too high, too high. And if you say that no, it is not like that. It's good actually. I can give you better price. I can give you better discount. Nothing. You're not going to buy. I know there are cases where customer will object saying that you are too high. Okay, and then a salesperson goes and say keep on giving discounts. Okay, or lower the price. Still, he will not buy. And then you will be scratching the head saying that why it is buying from the competition at higher price, and even if I give so much of discount, he's not buying from me. Still, he says price is too high. Why is that? There can be many reasons. Many reasons are there. Emotional, your relationship issue, and can be there. Okay, but here what I'm trying to say is that look at the emotional side of this objection and try to apply your mind and figure out what's the reason and what triggers him this emotional response. That's what we talked in the previous slide. If you identify what triggers the customer in this emotional response, you can correct it. Okay. For example, there is some problem happened in your company which is making him unhappy, which is triggers that, or there is some sort of he's not in the mood because that day, for example, he's having some business pressure or whatever pressure, he's not able to take a decision. He's simply delaying it or postponing it, actually, like that. So if you know those specific things, okay, you can accordingly handle it. You can at least avoid wasting time. Instead, if you keep on talking to him, negotiating, saying, I'll give this discount, I'll give this price, actually, he is not going to buy from you. Does it make sense? The difference between rational and emotional. If you want to approach rationally, what you do is that you tell him your price is too high. How much is high? Okay, I'll show you the cost sheet. You prepare the beautiful cost sheet and show them this is a cost involved. Actually, this is a real cost of production, cost of etc. And then you are saving so much. You are saving 1 rupee, 5 rupee, 100 rupees. You can show the paper to him. He will also be happy to listen to, but he is not going to take a decision because he is not. When he is going to give you rationally that objection, your cost calculation, you will work to convince him. If he is going to make the objection emotionally, your cost calculation is not going to help him. Make it clear?
Yes, absolutely clear. Sometimes I have also seen that the customer, if I do this emotional, psychological study, that is what he is willing to say or what he is communicating, actually he's not saying that. Actually what he's saying and what he's willing to say, there is difference. So quite a few times I have seen that he's not actually communicating what he's willing to, what he's saying, and what he's willing to say he's not saying actually thing. So that psychological study something helps in emotional way actually.
Absolutely. So here what I'm saying is that like a similar the car example what I showed. Okay, your preparation, your rational preparation is very important. Okay, because please understand, rational preparation can be done offline. For example, you can do in your office and go to the customer prepared. Okay, but emotionally you cannot really prepare yourself to meet a customer. Actually, emotions basically being handled in the front of the customer. Okay. So if you talk about the two pillars of your action, rational and emotional, okay, you have to put all your efforts to prepare rationally and keep ready, okay, so that the amount of time you spend with the customer, you spend only emotionally. The emotional part of the discussion, you can use it actually. Instead, what happens that, for example, if you are not prepared, Customer will put you down, say your cost is too high. Okay, then you will just from there you just take out pen and paper and then calculate. No, its cost is too high. So you end up wasting time on your rational activities. So you will not be focusing on emotional activities. Okay, similar. For example, in the car, actually, then I am not strong in the skill of driving. Let's say, okay, in the traffic jams, I will search where is my clutch, where is my gear, like that. That will not work, right? That's what I'm saying. Okay, so more the preparation you have done beautifully. Okay, you can spend the time with the customer to handle your emotional part of it, actually. Okay, just you can also visualize that when you are more prepared, you will be confident to face the customer. Why? Because you are emotionally you can handle the customer. You are also stable emotionally. Okay, if you are not prepared, what will happen? You will fumble before the customer, in front of the customer. Similar examples I can keep showing, actually. Now another example, competition offers same better price. Okay, these are common objections we make. It prevent getting this objection. How? During the discussion, highlight how your product is better than competition and let the customer know what they are aware, whether others are competing or not. If you still get the objection, give examples to show how sustainable the benefit are if they use your product. So objectively, rationally, the customer says competition offer a better price. Okay, during the discussion you can highlight your product performance, how better your price is, that how is cost effective, etc., etc. You can talk about that. Okay, if the customer objects, still you can talk about examples to show that they some other parts of the country, some other geography, some other customer is using like this. You can bring all those examples to explain them, show them. All this can be done. Okay, provided the customer rationally making this objection. When he's emotionally making this objection, then again identify why he's making this objection. Actually, first of all, whenever you make an objection, you have to be clear about whether he's rationally making or emotionally making. Okay, if you are clear about that, then rationally you can approach these ways what is mentioned here. Okay, but if you think he is emotionally doing this objection, okay, then these things will not work. You have to really go to talk about you can understand what triggers him this emotional objection. Actually, for example, he may be having a better relationship with the competition. Okay, he doesn't want to tell you that. He is not going to tell you that I have better relationship with the competition. Okay, he will simply say competition offering me a better price. Okay, two, he may get a feeling that you are giving a better price to his competitor, for example. Okay, he doesn't want to fight with you. He will simply say that my competition offering a better price. Okay, three, he can even put you down emotionally, saying that actually psychologically your competition offering better price. Why should I buy from you, actually? So all these things, customers play or make a drama in front of the salesperson to check, to challenge the salesperson's. We talked about perseverance. We talked about like how strong you are in your conviction and things like that. They will always keep checking it. Actually, they will not simply accept whatever you say, right? Okay, but be careful. That's what I'm trying to say. Actually, if you get that kind of feeling that customer is, because of some other reason, is making this objection, do not waste your time giving all sorts of information to explain to him, because I have seen, again, there are cases where customer tells you that your competition is offering a better price. You give all the information about how you are better than the competition. Actually, okay, they simply take that information, go to the competition and talk to them and get a better price. This happened I'm sure most of you also must have faced this similar problem, right? Okay, that is what I'm trying to tell you, that if you don't know the exact reason, emotional or rational reason, what is underlying in his objection, okay, if you are not going to approach that properly, okay, you will unnecessarily end up giving more information to the customer, which is going to use it for a different purpose, not really going to useful for your business success. Make sense? Any thoughts on this?
Correct. Particularly, I think this works very well with the medium and small scale industry, where the owner is managing the entire institution. Yeah. So you try to play the maximum whatever benefit he gets through emotional part.
Exactly. So basically, the owner level or any, it's end of the day, it's basically the purchaser, whether the owner or the employee or whoever, actually the purchaser will try to corner the salesperson, put you down typically put you down on your emotional side, okay, and try to the kind of blackmail you. I don't want to use the word, but then they try to blackmail you, is saying that your competition is giving you a better price, I will not buy from you. Okay, though you have to be clear about why he's putting that statement. Actually, before that, you should have really prepared well. For example, when moment you tell the customer competition name, you must be aware about exactly what's the comparison, etc., etc. He doesn't need to tell you actually. Okay, so if you are clearly aware that you are not costlier than the competition, okay, instead of just pushing, throwing all the data at his face immediately, try to understand why he's making the objection. If it is emotional reason is making the objection, then identify and then work out on that aspect, than simply giving more information and more data to you. That's what I mean to say. Never tell the competition point is bad. That's a very, it's a side information I'm giving actually. Never tell. Two things you should do. Never, whenever you're going to show to anybody the comparisons, never put the competition name in that competition name or competition point name in the comparison. Okay. And never tell that competition is bad with the customer. Don't do that. Okay? Because what will happen is that you are actually spoiling your name by telling your competition is bad. The third objection is want to buy but not now. At the beginning of the meeting, customer not understood his need, so use probing question to make him aware. These are routine objection handling. Okay. At the end of the meeting, customer is still not feeling urgent. Salesperson to understand what is his problem. Maybe they want to do some homework. Dangerous, because you are giving some time so that they will do the homework and then try to come back to you saying that you are still not cost effective, whatever actually. Okay, these are all the responses to the objections for this particular objection. Okay, in the rational manner. Again, emotional side. Can anybody explain to me about the emotional side of this? What I mean to say is that actually that day he is not ready to buy because of some other business reasons, not necessarily that he has not understood, not necessarily that your point is costly, etc., etc. He has got some other reasons not to buy from you. Okay. If you're going to thrust into his throat saying that why you cannot buy from me, sir, give me that, give me this and all, actually it's not going to work. Okay. So this is where actually you have to be empathetic. We talked last week about empathy, right? Okay. If you're empathetic to the customer, if you really know that he has got some genuine problem, genuine reason to kind of delay this kind of decision making, purchasing decision, you must live with it. Yes, of course, your management will put a pressure on you. Your management will say that get me the order, we get target, all these things. These are all part of your sales, but that's also another side of emotional handling of your management actually. Okay. But overall, if you handle the customer successfully, you will handle your bosses successfully. This is again a clue I'm giving you actually. If one salesperson could handle a customer successfully, he can definitely handle his bosses successfully. Emotionally, here I'm talking about emotionally. Okay. Uh, so what I'm saying is that be it your month end, be it your sales pressure, etc., etc. The customer is not in a position to place an order because of his own internal reasons. Okay, you should be empathetic. You should not really push him to take a decision immediately. If it is a rational reason means that he has not understood, don't explain him properly. Okay, if he's not feeling the urgency, you can make him understand the urgency. Those things you can do it actually. But then if moment you find out that he is having a genuine problem, he's having a genuine lack of time, or something is happening in his factory, you cannot take a decision, you have to live with it. You have to be empathetic, you have to live with it. No, when you handle customers, I keep saying that handling customer, handling customer. Okay, but this of course, this slide we have seen this earlier in the some of the presentations. Okay, the various types of customers are there. Personalities we talk about actually: amiable, expressive, analytical, driver. Okay, the drivers is the one who are more less assertive and less responsive actually. They have the self control. Okay, express is the one high assertive and high responsive actually. They express well. Okay, this thing we discussed earlier. I'm not dwelling deep into it. Okay, the amiable people are the one who are less assertive and less responsive. Analytical are the one who are less assertive and more responsive. Less responsive, less assertive, analytical, and here basically more responsive and less assertive is amiable. Why are we putting this kind of groups is because of the reason that no single solution is applicable to all the individuals. Okay, because when we say emotionals, each customer has got their own emotional quotient. Okay, so when you understand the customer, accordingly you can design your response. Okay, if you feel a customer is expressive person, for example, okay, then he will keep telling you so many things. Okay, but because he's telling you very aggressively something, okay, it doesn't mean that he's right. Okay, we have seen these earlier cases how to handle that. I'm not getting into deep into it, but here what I'm trying to say is that when you want to give an emotional response to a customer, you must also keep in mind what category they belong to. Are they expressive people? Are they drivers? Are they analytical people? Are they amiable people? Keep this in mind while making your responses to their uh, uh, emotional objections. Actually, that's what I'm saying. This is another objection. I'm not getting into it again and deep into that. Is it the weight of telling no? Is he genuinely need what to do? Probe further to understand why. Ask what more information they need. If they are adamant, fix the date of meeting. These are all common way of handling the customer. But then again, here also again you bring an emotional quotient and see whether customer is delaying the purchasing because he doesn't want to buy from you. He doesn't like to buy from you. He wants to avoid you actually. All those things can bring in, and then you can discuss, and then you can identify how to handle him based on the customer category, and then give you a response. We'll confirm with my boss, we'll discuss with my team and let you know, does he really want to discuss or buy time? Is he really right person? How is his decision making capability? Understand customer decision making matrix as part of your preparation and try to get all stakeholders in the meeting. If the customer tells you that I will confirm with my boss, I'll discuss with my team. Either he is not in a position to buy because he is not strong enough in decision making. Okay, so you decide about whether he really want to buy time, or is he really right person to take a decision, whether he has got a decision making capabilities. From the understanding customer decision making matrix, you really prepare well so that who is a person to kind of deal with, what kind of person he is and things like that, and try to get all the stakeholders in the meeting so that the meeting becomes more meaningful. Again, there can be an emotional reason actually. Okay, genuinely a customer, the person whom you are meeting may be not having, he cannot take a decision, he is poor in taking decision, he is not having power, then there can be reasons. Okay, there are cases again where he is a right person, he can take a decision, he is really a decision maker, but he tells you that I will tell my boss, I'll ask my boss, I'll talk to my team. He's trying to buy time. Why he's trying to buy time? Again, look at the emotional side actually. Okay, somewhere he is not happy to complete the transaction today with me because of maybe some other reason. It can be not happy with me, not happy with my company, or have more happy with the competition. There can be many reasons. Okay, so identify that and then take a decision. So I'm again putting all these things. Objections are handled in two ways, one rational way and emotional way. Okay, generally we go with rationally. Okay, emotional we try to overcome. Okay, here what I'm saying is that please do not work on the emotional part of the objections. Okay, in fact understand the emotional part of the objection better and then give the rational reasoning. Okay, if you're going to keep giving the rational reasoning to the emotional objection of the customer, okay, it's a waste. You can keep giving information after information, data after data. He's not going to take a decision because he's having something else is triggered in his mind. Some other emotional reason is triggered in the mind, which is what is stopping him from taking decision. So unless you identify and then sort it out, you are not going to succeed. That's what I keep saying from all these statements. We can keep on putting so many objections, but then again, for every objection, the same logic actually. Let the order, new order come, I will buy. Is it another way of telling no? Genuinely, he wants to buy from his cost position. These things again, more rational. Probe by further questioning. Are you pitching the over-engineered poet is present requirement? Is he going to get high-end order in the? These are all rational reasons, rational way of handling the uh, handling the rational objection actually. Okay. If you look at what I'm trying to say is that I'm only typed out here the rational methods of handling the objection. Okay, I'm not putting the emotional methods here. The reason is that emotion is something which is very very vast and then very person oriented. As we saw, different category of persons are there. Okay, there is no single solution for all the emotional objections to handle actually. So you want to really understand your emotion, customer emotion, and then the situational emotion. All the three are required to handle the objection emotionally. So, in nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that prepare rationally to handle customer emotionally. Means your preparation is done for the rational handling of the objection. Okay, but when you go and handle the customer, you must try to handle him more emotionally, okay, with the rational data, so that you become successful. Both are hand in hand actually. I cannot differentiate, divide between rational and emotional. Okay, both are goes hand in hand. But what I mean to say is that if you are prepared well, if you have the rational data, rational information, rational ideas with you clearly, okay, you can handle the customer, the objections or whatever emotionally, and then you will have enough time to wherewithal to handle him emotionally, and then get this successfully done actually. Okay, that's what I mean to say. Any thoughts about this? Any questions? Any thoughts? It's a very seems to be very simple idea, simple topic, even the small topic, but
It's correct, but typically the condition prevailing in the market, as well as various condition situation, also plays emotionally with the buyer as well as the customer. So you should try to
absolutely.
understand and accordingly to be handled. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's now, for example, in the COVID times, actually, you have every customer as guy sitting with his own problem, whatever, actually, personal, official, etc., etc. Okay, you must be empathetic to those things. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. No, you must be empathetic to the customer situation and then handle accordingly. Yes, you have got his own problems are there, the industry problems are there, his personal problems are there, your problems are there. Everything is there around actually. So that's what I told you. No, the entire society, for example, even human being one by one to one, what we are handling, we're all handling ourselves emotionally. Okay. So objectively or rationally handling is too small. It's too small portion in your entire human handling. Okay. It's emotional handling is much more. Same logic applies to customer, salesperson, customer also. Okay. So majority of the time, for example, you are going to spend 1 hour there. Okay. You are rationally handling the entire 1 hour, maybe only 10-20%. Okay. Balance majority is emotional handling of the entire meeting, for example. That's what I mean to say. Okay. Now, to handle successfully customer emotionally, okay, that amount of time you must save. Where from you will get this? You will get this from the rational preparation. If you have done the preparation very well, if you have done your sales preparation, everything very well, okay, you will be strong rationally. Okay. If you are strong rationally, you will have enough time and resources, enough wherewithal and the mind to handle the customer's emotions. This is what I'm trying to point out here actually. Okay, emotional handling is not, you can't mug up something and then handle emotionally. Okay, I can put volumes of about emotional quotient and things like that, but at the end of the day, every customer varies, every situation varies, every time varies, for example. Okay, but for a successful salesperson, if you spend enough time in your preparations, okay, if you spend enough time in your rational preparations, okay, when you go to the customer, you will have enough time to handle customer emotionally, and then you will become more successful. That's what I mean to say here. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, in today's scenario, we cannot meet the customer face to face.
Yeah,
Okay. Last 1 year, what we are witnessing because of the COVID situation is more or less we are sending proposal through your email or through
yeah,
WhatsApp. Then we are responding to the customer queries over phone.
yeah,
There we are not able to gauge how the customer looks like, what is he,
yeah,
and
yeah,
what's his expectation.
yeah,
For us now, on the face of it, everybody is same. I'm
yeah,
not able to gauge each person's capability, his requirement, nothing.
yeah, yeah,
There's a opaque body. That's it. No, nothing is transparent for me. For me, everybody
yeah,
same. If 10
yeah,
customer is calling me today, all 10 customer looks alike because I'm only conversing on the phone and sending
yeah.
proposal through email. In such a scenario, how do I gauge? How do I capture their emotional quotient?
Yeah. And now, yes, it's a very good question and very, very pertinent and important, very difficult situation today. All of us are facing nothing new, nothing alarming, but it is how it is
Pardon,
actually.
sir?
Reality. That's a reality. Now let's understand this. Okay. Now over phone, when you're talking to a customer, okay, you also know that, for example, the way in which I speak, you can feel I am angry, I'm not angry, I'm happy, I'm unhappy. Okay. I possibly you cannot find out whether I am telling lie or not, because without seeing the eyes, it's very difficult to identify. Okay. More than that, but my emotions you can easily read out actually. I'm happy or not, you can read out. I'm angry or not, you can read out. Okay. All those things. Okay. And yes, it is definitely not, cannot the replacement for the one-to-one direct eye contact physical meeting. Definitely no. But then there are methods by which you can understand the customer's voice. You can even understand from the customer's statement when you put in the emails, for example. Okay. You can understand that whether he is really genuinely interested or not. Okay. By couple of course, the very first phone call we cannot possibly can understand. Okay. If you know the customer little before, you know the customer, you're now talking to him over phone now actually. Okay. You met him earlier, let's say. Okay. And then now this with the phone calls, with the voice, with the tone, with the voice, with the tone, with even the words what they use, actually you can easily identify whether he is genuinely interested or not. Okay. And third, importantly, with his, for example, he says that I will call you in the Monday morning, let's say. Okay. If he calls on Monday morning, you are sure he is interested, right? Okay. If he is not going to call you at all, he is not interested. Okay. Or if you call, he is taking the phone immediately, he is interested. Okay. If you call, he is delaying and taking the phone, or he sort of he is not really focusing on what you are explaining. He was trying to some sort of wish away the talks what you do. He is not interested. So we can assume and assimilate these kind of behavioral patterns of the customers talking. Okay, from the tone, voice, speech, words, and these kind of delays and things like that, we can understand to some extent what is his mentality and position actually.
See, I agree with your point. If I already met the customer at least once
Yes.
before, there
Yeah.
I can actually relate to his body language, the way he communicates, all that fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But today,
Yeah.
generally about 90% of the inquiries what we are generating over the
Correct.
phone or through email are all new
Correct.
customers. Okay.
Correct.
In
Can I,
such a
okay.
scenario, what happens is
Okay. Can I tell you
the
one thing?
customer is also equally getting bombarded with proposals, information from various competitors.
Correct.
At times, he's actually getting confused. To whom is he talking to?
Correct.
When I call, I already spoke to you yesterday. I told you this is the price I'm expecting. So he's actually in a state of confused state.
Absolutely.
So he's not able to gauge whether he'll go with me, with somebody else, or somebody else. We don't know. Such a scenario, the sales process is becoming very, 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 what do you say?
Different and difficult.
Difficult.
Very, very difficult. I agree with you. Again, it is like this. Now the situation is same for all the competitors. It is nothing new, unusual for us. Number one. Situation is same for the customer also. Okay. He cannot now see you at face to face, and he's confused, and then he doesn't know what to talk and all. Okay. So what will happen today is that the earlier days before COVID, customers are playing with the suppliers. Okay. For them, it was entertainment to keep meeting suppliers and then keep rotating, keep pushing the ball here and there like that. Okay. Today, with this difficult situation for the customer, for him job to be done. Okay. He is not interested to kind of play around with the suppliers and things like that. Okay. Because he's in a way he's also pained to keep seeing all these mails, calls and things like that. Okay. So the genuinity of the customer as possibly has gone up. Sorry, I'm not. I'm only telling the assumption here. You can justify it. You can confirm it actually. Okay. So they will not simply call you and then talk to you just for the sake of time pass, for example. Okay. If they're very genuine and serious, they will call you and talk. Okay. Why I'm saying is that the problem is for you, problem is for them also today. Okay. They cannot see you at face and talk to you, for example. Okay. So it is, I agree with you, the sales process and has completely shifted, transformed today. Okay. In the process, my assumption is that customers also would have become more genuine today to buy or not to buy from you. They will, instead of wasting time running around here and there like that. Okay. Yes. Because of that, what will happen is that, yes, it's difficult to gauge the person in the first phone call, definitely. Okay. But then when you do 2-3 times of talking with them, you can possibly get an idea, get the pattern that whether this is, we have also in our, even otherwise also before COVID also, there are cases where we used to deal with customers without seeing their face actually. Okay. It's not, it was a very miniature, not too much actually, but then it was there. There were customers who could, because there are all this telemarketing, etc., what we do is that they're all through our phones of what was happening. Okay. So, thing is that it's not easy, it's difficult. But if you keep, when you during your practice, by this time 1 year, you must have really mastered also for that matter actually. Okay, who is right, who is wrong, who is good, who is bad, difficult. But then that's experience the best teacher.
Actually, we are discovering
New ideas.
new types of buyers, and generally, what I have observed is they're all doing window shopping. They're actually preparing for the future. They just want to get the gist. What is the market like? What is the feel? Have the prices really come down?
That's why I told without seeing the eyes of the customer, you cannot really gauge whether they are genuine, serious, etc., etc. The eye contact is something very, very important in the understanding the person.
So in a way, their objections are like very very superficial objections. Actually, it is not objection at all. If you ask me, when they
Yeah.
really want to buy, probably they may not ask those stupid questions.
But you can also go for a video conference, video call or a video whatever, a Zoom call, whatever actually. So that at least you can, for some reason, you can call them over for video and then you see their face, understand the genuinity of them. That's at least
Yes,
one kind.
even that we have done with their various stakeholders in an account, but still, I still feel that it is become very complex, very very complex sales process today compared to the
I
one-to-one meeting we
agree.
had with
Yeah,
users.
I understand.
So now, how do we? What is your take on the current scenario? Because there is a lot of uncertainty in the market due to the situation, and it is actually leading us nowhere. We are actually not selling anything as of now.
See, listen, when the customer wants to buy, he will buy. Okay. And when his business is good, he will have to buy. Okay. If the business is not going to be good, you can't do anything. You and I cannot do anything for that matter. Okay. So today's situation, actually, nobody knows which way the things are going. For example, in the wave one, actually, many industries were doing very well, actually, extremely well, in fact. But now in the wave two, what happened is that even those industries are shut up because of some reason or the other. Okay. Overall scenery is very, very bad actually. So we are aware about that. Okay. But it's very difficult to judge now which way it will go. But one basic rule is that people cannot sit at home doing nothing for long. They have to do something. They will come out and do something. Okay. It's a matter of time. For example, in Western countries, things are more settled down. Okay. Now, for example, if it's textiles, the showrooms are all operating, the malls are all operating. So the business is picking up actually. So possibly some of the industries it will come good. Okay. But in the ground reality is that still when these lockdowns are happening, you can't do anything. You have to wait and watch. So now this slide, what I am trying to show you is this. Okay, in the cricket analogy, this is called net practice. Okay, where even the greatest players will keep practicing day in and day out. Why? For example, let's say Virat Kohli, such a great player, or earlier Sachin Tendulkar, they have the skills, they have the technique, they have the knowledge. Okay, but still, every day they do net practice. Even in the test match, they do net practice. Why is that? The idea is that even if you are strong in your skill, in your technique and knowledge, okay, but what will operate on the ground is your emotion. It is not the skill. Okay, because if you are emotionally stable, strong, managing the situation, okay, you can use your skill. Okay, so your emotional stability will help you to use your skill, technique, knowledge better in the field. Okay, so now at the same time they cannot prepare emotionally. It's very difficult to prepare emotionally because we don't know how the opposition is going to play that day. Let's say emotionally. Okay, so the best thing is to keep preparing yourself technically in your skills, etc., etc. Okay, when the day comes, when you are on the ground, when you are facing the opposition, irrespective of whatever be the emotional situation there, your skill is not going to, you don't need to worry about skill. Okay, skill will take care of by itself. You can handle your emotion. Understand? Same way, here what happens is that if you want to be successful with the customer, you have to prepare. There's no second thought on that. You have to keep preparing regularly. Don't think that I know this customer. I know this customer very well, for example. So it's the biggest thing people always do. I know this customer very well. I know the customer like back of my envelope. I know everything about the customer. Okay. I've been shouting right from beginning. It's not that you do whether you know or not, you write down and see whether you know or not. Okay. But if you keep preparing that continuously, what will happen in front of the customer, you can handle emotional part of the sales call successfully. So preparation. So if you ask me, sir, what should I do become emotionally strong in the front of the customer? I will tell you, go and prepare yourself with respect to all the sales call preparation, customer analysis, competition analysis, negotiation technique, all this you prepare at home properly. Okay, then go to the customer. So prepare rationally to face the customer emotionally successful. That is a real motto I'm talking here. This cricket analogy possibly will help you understand what I mean to say actually. Okay, because if it is skill is the only thing, Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli need not do any net practice. Okay, they can directly go and play in the ground, right? No, they don't do that. Why? Because even though have the skill and the technique, okay, but that day what will happen we don't know. You may be challenged emotionally by the opposition. Okay, in that situation, I can't think of what skill I have to use, what technique I have to use. I can't think of it, right? Okay, that should take care of by itself. That's a plan actually. So similarly, here you prepare very well so that when in front of the customer, your all other rational things will be taken care of by itself. Okay, and you can focus on your emotional handling of the customer. That's what it is. Anything?
My take on that is probably Virat Kohli is practicing hard because he's preparing for the future. That is probably there's a threat coming. He's expecting a threat coming in the next match. Probably the bowlers are trying to get him out with a different technique. So probably he's trying to hone his skills to get better and better and better to face the challenge.
Okay, can I comment on that?
In our sales field, probably what I think is we may think we are the champions, we know the customer quite well, but then there could be a lot of new challenges coming from competition. So we have to be totally prepared and updated with all the product knowledge, skill levels, whatever to face the competition.
That's what I'm saying. All the preparation you can do offline, not in front of the customer, right? Okay. So better you prepare offline, okay, better you can handle customer online. Means in front of the if you prepare well, you can handle the customer in front of the customer, you can do very well. That's what I mean to say here actually, right? Whether it is because of new bowlers or new technique, whatever reason actually, okay. But your preparation gives you a confidence to handle the new situations very well. Make sense? Okay. Any more?
Ramesh,
Yeah.
even this current scenario from the last what I've seen certain industries, for example, two-wheeler industries and four-wheeler, even the car, they have done very well, in fact. And
That is
some
before
food processing industries, and this online business of these products, I mean, like that, I don't tell the name, the companies, they have been doing very well. So what I would suggest is, we have to find out from competitors how those people are doing it. So you try to take some experience from them and do it. That will definitely work. That's what my view is actually. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all in the this one wave one. These were all doing very well. Okay, now with the wave two, everybody is in trouble now. Actually, we have to wait and watch. Okay. Any more questions? I'm done actually. There is any more questions? I can take it up.
Sir, Ganeshan here.
Yeah, please.
In this whole process, you said about the price and, with respect to how we have to handle the customer emotionally. In the current
Yeah.
COVID situation, another one important thing which I experienced was the collection of payment. When it comes for payment, when we ask, then, they get irritated, and then we
Correct.
need to handle them in a way that they doesn't feel that, yes, we are putting pressure on them. So this
Correct.
also was a experience which I got in this COVID time, that how to handle them apart from whatever as a regular sales. So due to this, they have their own reasons for delay payment and all these things. So that also was a experience which was
COVID.
COVID times, yeah, when because
I don't
every
know.
office is logged, they have sometimes a process of only check payments, so no online payments, so all these things. So, but that also, I could also, as you said, manage that thing, by making myself stable. So sometimes, yes, it was a pressure, but sometimes at 1, 2, 3 phone calls, then it becomes they could also understand. So that's one of the thing which is being.
This COVID handling, I mean, the COVID situation is something very unique. In fact, if you remember, we have done a couple of programs earlier last year. The wave one was there about how to handle people in this COVID situation. Actually, okay? That's that topic by itself. Okay, a lot of, yes, you are right. It's emotional part is extremely important in handling COVID. Okay, and you can't be tough with the customer. At the same time, you have to get your job done. Both are required. Okay. So it is a topic by itself. Actually, we'll deal maybe in some other day actually about this COVID handling. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of you. Thanks for coming. So we will meet the next week.
Thank you, Ramesh.
There's no
It was very
questions.
good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good, Ramesh. It was excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.